Hey guys, welcome to Pretendo 64's podcast. We're here welcoming Dean today to the team.
How's it going,
and
guys?
we're going to talk about a few things. Starting off, I think new games coming out.
Yes, there have been a lot of new games being released. One of my favorites is Mega Man 11, since I've been waiting for Capcom to make another Mega Man game for such a long time.
Yeah, I remember when Mega Man 9 came out and it was like this big thing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I even made it past like the second level. I didn't play 10, but I know it's a huge franchise that everybody loves, and I like that they returned to like the classic of thing. Like the X series got way out of control once you hit like the PS2 and stuff, and there was some really bad games.
I can agree, but Mega Man is always a nostalgic game, amazing for everybody. Yes, it's really difficult at times, and of course it's the normal platforming that really gets my interest, since there has been a lot of games that go up from that, but I love games that are just like, okay, we gotta keep a platform standpoint, and they go through and they hit a big success.
I don't think that, I don't know how much more they can do with the game, to keep it fresh. Okay, there's going to be a new Robot Master or something like that, but, eventually, there's a point, I think, when a franchise reaches a place where there's not a lot more you can do aside from change its mechanics and change the kind of game it is, like the Legend of Zelda, They kind of played around with some mechanics, and it was a great game, and it's a wonderful game. But now, it's like, where does Zelda go from here? It's going to be interesting to see if they can recreate that success with the next games.
I hope they do.
Speaking of that, everybody saw the trailer for Super Smash Brothers for the Switch. I'm hopeful that it'll be good. It'll be a good game. But I'm also a little worried that it may just be nothing more than a port of the current Smash Brothers game. There hasn't really been any information to confirm one way or another. So I guess we'll have to wait and see. A port that would just have like more characters. Like we know the Splatoon kids are going to be in it because that's what we saw in the commercial and everything. But hopefully it's a whole new game, and I, for one, hope that they bring back like the first player campaign, because I enjoyed the story mode from Brawl, and then in the current version they got rid of it, so that was kind of sad for me. Like, I get that it's a multiplayer game, but it was also nice to have that story and everything in it.
Well, also there's a debate that the new Super Smash might just be a rerun of the one for the Wii.
Yeah,
but Wii
just the port,
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess we'll see. Nintendo will probably release those details as it gets closer. I would hope not, because everything else on the Switch, most of the games have just been ports of other games. We got Skyrim on the Switch, which is unbelievable to me. I don't know why we need another version of Skyrim. Even the Bayonetta thing was like, it was on the Wii U and it was fine there, it was great. I don't see a purpose for us to have just a port. Just, let them make a new game and put it on the system. There's not a lot of, original content on there, there's the ARMS game.
ARMS is really
Zelda, good. Mario Odyssey.
Good.
Mario Kart 8 support. Binding of Isaac and those games, those are all ports from Steam. I don't know, there's probably more, but not very many. I just can't think of any right now. Splatoon 2, I guess, right? So there's that one. But my point is, right now they have this wall of games, but they're all sort of just games that already exist.
Yeah, I get that.
And they're ported in from somewhere else, and I don't know, it doesn't seem like third-party developers care too much to develop new games for the Switch. It just seems like they're just porting their old games over. And I can't see it working out too well for them. So hopefully they get more stuff.
No doubt.
There was a Kirby game, I think, that just came out as well. Don't remember what it was called.
I don't remember either.
But the original stuff that is coming out is like Nintendo-based stuff, which is fine. Nintendo makes fine games, but I don't see any third-party developers making anything exclusive for the Switch. What else is coming out?
There's a new God of War coming out.
Oh, right. It's a reboot, right? Is it?
I don't
I thought
know.
it was a reboot.
I don't think so.
Oh, I thought that's what I had heard.
Oh, I haven't read much or saw much from the new God of War, but I know he has a kid, and I know he has an amazing-ass beard.
Yeah, he's got a beard and a kid.
Yep.
There's a Game Informer I have back there with it on the cover. It probably talks about it in there. I'm not going to pull it out. But, yeah, I thought I had heard it was like a reboot of the series. But I don't know. Maybe not. Looks good. I don't know if it's going to be another just hack and slash sort of game. Like, I didn't play through all of the God of War games because the first one was fine. There wasn't anything wrong with it. It just wasn't my kind of game. I guess it was missing
Most sex appeal.
Well, like I enjoyed like the Devil May Cry series, and that was essentially the same.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
You know?
The only thing God of War has is a lot of tits and a lot of sex.
Yeah, and I was like, that's cool and all, I guess, if that's what you got to do. But you know, I'm also an adult, not 16 years old, so those sorts of
But
things.
when I was 16,
Yeah,
I loved those games.
Right. And I think that's that's really the big titles coming out.
Well, there's also they finally released trailers for Kingdom Hearts 3.
Oh, finally, not like 2.96.
Oh no, I hate
7.
I hated that they went to decimals.
I don't know what that. I don't really know. I played Kingdom Hearts and Kingdom Hearts 2, and that was it. You know, I didn't play any of the other ones. There was like a card game or something in there. I don't know. I didn't mess around with those. I had fun with the first one. The second one was like, okay, I did it.
Yeah, the first one.
The third one, I can't say that I'm like excited for it, nor can I say that I'll buy it.
I think if they didn't say, oh, it will come out and like make me wait for like years and years, then I would have been excited. But now I'm kind of like, I have my doubts about it. I still hope it will be amazing, but I don't think it's going to top Kingdom Hearts 1.
Well, I mean, it's the same thing as like the movie syndrome. You know, the first one in the series, unless it's a series like Final Fantasy where they're all different games. They're not, except that weird X2 game where you have to dress up or whatever.
Makes sense.
It usually is like, okay, the first one's really great, or Mega Man. I thought 2 was way better than 1. 2's I think my favorite Mega Man game.
Mm-hmm. With Mega Man, my favorite is always gonna be Mega Man X.
Oh, the first one.
Yeah, I think they
which in
awesome
itself
stuff.
was a different game.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
Had its own.
It had its own. The guy's name was X. It was an original Mega Man. Much better.
Yeah, so I think they suffer sometimes from that. Like, they have to live up to, especially if it's really, really popular.
Oh, yeah.
Unless it's this long-running franchise, like Zelda or Mario or something, where it's just, there's so many games in it. Moving on from games and to some stores. So there's a couple of things. Everybody knows Toys R Us is going out of business, which I thought was kind of weird because I knew at first they were closing some stores, like 180 or something like that across the U.S. And that was going to be, it. And then it was like a couple of weeks later, they were like, "Now we're closing everything." So there was a store that was closing here, and I went there and I looked around, whatever. There's a couple things, but no great deals. And then it was like, oh, the rest of them are closing. So I went out to those stores and I checked them out and picked up a couple of things here and there. But it's not a surprise to me. Like, a lot of people are sad because there's a lot of nostalgia to it. But at the same time, it's not something that should be surprising because, when's the last time you saw a commercial for Toys R Us?
Get that.
When you're sitting around watching TV.
I really get that. It's more of like a nostalgic kick when you see Toys R Us. But to be honest, I don't even remember the last time I've been to a Toys R Us.
Right?
So
I just used to go there, like, in a more recent time, I used to go there to just look for amiibos and stuff like that, but, to be honest, it's not my go-to store. Like, if I have a, niece or nephew's birthday or something, I don't go there that much, because they never really have sales. They never, it wasn't anything where they really had sales, so what was the point? Because I could go to Target or something like that, and they have something on clearance, or they have a sale going on, or you just go online now. And that was the other thing. There was they don't really have a good online store system going. You go to Target or that other place, and they have everything they have in the store listed online. You can buy it there. You can go pick it up in the store and everything. And Toys R Us kind of had that going on, but it didn't list everything they had, and it was just like, if you're not... And it was really difficult to navigate through the website, and it's like, if you can't get your online game going, you're out of the business at this point. Yeah. Because you're up against, like, Amazon and eBay and stuff like that, and it's just like, what's the point? You're not carrying anything special, right?
Oh yeah, no doubt.
And you're not marketing anymore. We're not seeing the commercials with the song and all that other stuff. I mean, the song was what really sold it,
I don't want to grow up. I'm a Toys R Us kid. They got a million toys at Toys R Us that I can play with. I don't want to grow up. I'm a Toys R Us.
Yeah.
I mean, that was what sold it to people. So they're going out of business, and interestingly enough, KB Toys is coming back.
Really?
Yeah, there's a new company that bought them. I don't know the name of it, but they bought them in 2016, which is interesting because I think maybe that company saw that Toys R Us was kind of going down the drain, and they wanted to pick up that in-store market. They're going back to exactly what they used to be, which it's an in-malls toy store or whatever.
That's great.
So they're going to be opening back up, I think, toward the end of this year, maybe in the fall or something. They're going to be opening some stores. I'm going to be interested to see what they're carrying, because if it's just like a miniature Toys R Us, essentially, then are you really going to do that well?
I think so, because it's also the fact that, you don't need, a whole store for that. I think, a little place in the mall will be amazing, because you see little kids, though, you see...
Yeah, they don't need as much staff. The rent is probably a little bit... It is a lot less than you would have, a big, giant store inside of a mall. There's a lot of foot traffic already there. They don't have to go to a specific location, that's exclusively to go pick up toys. They're already in the mall shopping, and it's like, okay. Which is, to me, it's just a little bit funny, because I remember KB Toys went out of business because of Toys R Us. Because Toys R Us was just doing so well. It was had to be the very early 2000s. I remember I just started college or something like that, and the KB Toys by Us went out of business. And that's where I got a lot of my X-Men action figures, actually.
Sweet.
Because they were all super cheap. I picked up that Sentinel over there. He was $2 or something.
You guys can't see this, but it looks great.
Yeah. So I made out, I guess, on that deal when they went out of business. I know a lot of people, a lot of collectors, they picked up a lot of video games during that time too, because it was before the crest of retro collecting and stuff. So they were picking up games that these stores had just sitting in the back for years. Nintendo games and Super Nintendo games and stuff. That's where a lot of the old new stock came from. But now they're coming back under, a different company's management. And Toys R Us is heading out. I don't know if they're continuing just to be online, or if they're just closing completely. I know they filed for bankruptcy last year, so my guess is they're probably just going completely out, because they're not even a competitor online, let's be honest.
Makes sense.
So that's Toys R Us. Sad, I guess. Anybody who works there, I guess, keep your shirts and your little memorabilia, because probably in 15 years it might be worth something on eBay, if eBay still exists. And then there's GameStop. GameStop is like a car accident in slow motion. We all know that the end is coming for them.
Mm-hmm.
We can see it. You walk into the store, and the store called GameStop has more items that are collectibles than are actually games. You know that they're running into a problem. And I think, I don't know, whether or not that's worked out for them, like they're making money on it or whatever, but there's always something happening with their policies. There's always some, controversy coming up about this or that. Recently, I was watching YouTube, and I came across some channels that, these guys go dumpster diving and stuff like that. And I saw, it's like, some guy goes to GameStop all the time. But he was pulling out, like, these games. They throw away games and accessories and stuff like that, whatever. If somebody wants to take them. A lot of these people just donate the stuff. They bring it in and donate it. But apparently, GameStop's now destroying the games that they throw out. So they're, like, cutting them up. They're cutting the discs. They're breaking, like, if they're, like, DS games or something, they just break them in half or whatever. And they're just ruining everything that they throw away. And even, like, the accessories. Like, the little Wii remote, like, condom-y things. They just cut those now. And in fact, a lot of stores destroy their merchandise, which is surprising when they throw it away. Because I'm just like, you're not using it, you're throwing it away. Mm-hmm. These people come by, they're not bothering anybody, they take the stuff, they usually go and donate it to Goodwill or whatever, because a lot of it's brand new stuff, So instead of allowing them to do that, they just destroy it now and essentially are just making trash. Your store has already lost, like, the money for this. You can't return it to the manufacturer, You're not getting your money back, whatever. So if somebody wants to come by and grab it and do something with it, whether they use it, sell it, or donate it, then it gets used. Something happens to it. Instead, they're destroying it, and it ends up in the landfill as a lot of fucking landfill. And that's real disappointing to me. That's just... It's petty. That's the word I want. It's petty. GameStop's being petty, and so is Five Below. Five Below, apparently, they cut up, like, their flip-flops and stuff, so people can't use them. And it's like, that's foam. That's something that's just... It's going to sit there for thousands of years.
Yeah.
And that shit. And bags full of them, And that's just petty. If you don't want it, donate it yourselves. I mean, damn, they're businesses. They can get some tax write-offs on that stuff, that merchandise. At least they'll get something out of it. Or if you don't want to do it, maybe you get in touch with these people who are back there. They'll come by and they'll just grab it and they'll bring it over to some charity or something. That's just annoying. I hate it. Yeah, it sucks.
It really does.
Mm-hmm.
But GameStop, like...
They don't care. I mean,
they really don't.
They changed their, like, circle of life policy just because it got exposed online and everybody was talking about it. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure it still happens.
Most likely.
But I mean, they're just burying themselves. Because at this point, there's no question that eventually everyone will be forced to download their games for their consoles. It's just heading to that direction where that's what's happening. They're pushing it now. The problem is with now, it's like, I have a PS4.
Yeah.
And the PlayStation Network is a little bit better because they do have sales and stuff, and you can get, like, good deals on games. Which is probably from studying the fact that people aren't going to download a game that they can go and buy a physical copy of for half the price.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what it is like now. But it seems like they're kind of... The companies are starting to realize that, and they're like, oh, what we should do is probably just have sales and stuff on games. So people will be more likely to buy them.
Well, I also have a PlayStation 4, and really love that month after month they have a selected game, like, set for free.
Oh, yeah.
That's
for the
really
gold
good.
membership or whatever it is?
Yeah, PlayStation Plus.
Yeah, PlayStation Plus.
has that. It has places now where you can play like all the PS3 games that they have.
Yeah.
And of course they have sales for different days of the month for pretty much anything you can find a sale on, and it's so much better. And pretty much like the last time I've been to GameStop, I only went to get a PlayStation card because I was in debt, so I used my actual money to buy online credit.
So you only went in there just to pay in person to get online credit.
Exactly.
That was the only reason to go in there. Well, I will say this. I have found that it changed very recently, but I did find that it's not a bad place to go for retro stuff to the website. Mm-hmm. Because some of it is very reasonably priced. And they do have sales on stuff. In fact, I was down there a couple of days ago and I saw original Metroid, for like $15. Which ain't bad. That's not
a really
bad.
Good price.
You know, it's not a bad price. On eBay, you're looking at usually about $20. Maybe free shipping, maybe not, you know. So it wasn't, you know, it sometimes isn't a bad price. I would say if you're a collector, it's not a bad place to look, but you should always be aware that you should always assume that whatever you're buying isn't going to come with the original packaging, even if it's a disc-based game. Because then when it does, it's a surprise. It's random. Sometimes you do get it and it's full, you know, so the full game. And sometimes you get it and it's just the disc or just the cartridge or whatever. I wouldn't buy hot games, and what I mean by that are rare games, expensive games from them, because they do have a history of, so you know, the whole thing is they're supposed to test these games, they're supposed to make sure everything's fine with them and stuff like that, and they clearly don't. There's been a lot of videos and stuff where people, they get the stuff in, they open it up, they look at it, and it's like, you know, there's a DuckTales 2 NES game, somebody pulled it out and it said reproduction rate on it. Like on the label, it said reproduction. And of course they weren't selling it as a reproduction, it was just, and I was like, what? Nobody even looked at that, much less put it in their system. And then there was like another person who got this, I think it was a Conker's Bad Fur Day, it was in a red cartridge case. So already it was a fake. Okay. Because they never made it in a red cartridge case. Popped it in. Of course it didn't work, didn't turn on or anything. And, you know, the guy spent like, whatever, $100 or whatever on it. And it's like, yeah, okay, they'll give you your money back, but you've just wasted however long, you know. If you got the free 2-day shipping, you wasted 4 days at least for this game for no reason. So it's a headache, and you know, they're a bunch of liars. They don't check anything, no matter what they tell you. So if you're buying more expensive ones that tend to be reproduced or faked, don't even, you know, I wouldn't mess with it. I wouldn't mess with eBay either, because that shit's sketchy.
That's understandable.
Usually if I'm going to buy something like that, I'm going to go and find it somewhere, you know, that I can look at it and pull it apart and everything. And if you ever get to somebody and you're buying a game that's, you know, $200 or, you know, or something, you know, and they don't want you to open it up, then don't buy it, because that means that it's busted, or it's not the game, or whatever. The chipset's different. It's not what it's supposed to be, and they know it. So they're not terrible on that. The PS1 games a lot of them are really, really cheap. On the website there, so I've been, you know, buying some of them. You know, a lot of them don't come with the cases, so that kind of sucks. But whatevs. I like to play the games too. So moving on. Rampage, the movie is coming out, and make sure to check out Pretendo 64, because the new Gamer Pups video will be up very shortly, which will be featuring Rampage video games. So keep an eye out for that. The Rock is in this,
Such a great actor, such a great wrestler.
He's a fun guy. I'll give him that.
Yeah.
You know, he tries.
He succeeds.
He does. he's fun. For me, it came out of nowhere. I was just like, Rampage? Really? So let's look at our history of movies based on video games. Super Mario Brothers movie.
Terrible.
Or bad. Everybody.
It was.
You know, it's a popular bad movie because like, oh, it's stupid. And it was bad back in the day, and I knew it. I knew it was bad. There's a magazine. It wasn't Nintendo Power, something else that I had, and it was like the movie, and it had all the like shots and everything. I was like, I don't think this looks right.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh, Dennis Hopper, he's Cooper, and I'm like, is Cooper really?
Yeah, they were good actors, but it just was a terrible script to begin with.
Oh man, Dennis Hopper was in a lot of bad cheesy movies.
Oh yeah, no
Waterworld.
doubt.
God. Poor guy, Speed. Anyway, so the history has not been the greatest. You got the Mortal Kombat movies, and those, while we enjoyed them when we were younger, you watch them now, and they're not even a good martial arts movie.
Oh yeah, no doubt. Still, it's still the thing where like, it's not the actor's fault. The actors are amazing, but it's just the script and the production of it in general. It's a very
difficult, this is why I think that it's just not something that's meant to be. Because the format that these video games come out, especially now, to make a movie based on a video game that's a newer franchise is just ridiculous. Because the CGI production and the cutscenes and stuff in the game are already the best they're going to be. There's nothing you can put up on the screen and be like, oh, this is great and this is going to be a fantastic thing. And the track record has proven that. I mean, the first Resident Evil movie was like almost there. It was like almost there, but then that whole franchise plummeted into the ground. And they beat the shit out of that franchise. They just beat it into the ground as far as they could.
Yeah.
And, I mean, come on, Street Fighter? How about Street Fighter, the video game of the Street Fighter movie?
No.
Why? So stupid.
It was.
But I mean, okay, so those, some of those games were like those older games that there's no story, right? So you have to come up with something. Rampage is kind of the same. The only elements there are that, there's the place that's doing the weird research, and then, the people mutate. It looks like from the trailer that it's not people mutating, but it's just animals mutating.
Yeah. Where
in the game, if I remember, you're a person, because like when you run out of health, you turn back into a person, the other character can eat you or whatever. But they got ridiculous. They were ridiculous to start off with, but they got more ridiculous as the games went. Like, one of my favorites was World Tour, and I played it a lot on the 64. I know it came out on the PlayStation as well. And that one was just ridiculous. Like, it was just, the humor was just over the top, and it didn't take itself serious at all. So that's why I see this movie trailer, and I'm like, as long as it doesn't take itself too serious, it could be okay. But it looks like maybe not a great movie. But I'm not going to judge it until I see it,
Yeah,
I'll go in there, and I'll be like, okay, The Rock's in it. And, some people love him, and, he keeps doing movies that it's either okay or real bad.
But there's a lot of ones that are really good.
There are ones that people like the Fast and Furious movies. They were never my cup of tea. But it's like G.I. Joe wasn't really... Those weren't really
The
good.
Tooth Fairy, even though it was funny, it was something about him being in a tutu that I could not get across.
Jumanji looked really...
Jumanji looked good. It had Kevin Hart, had Jack Black. I love it. But for Rampage, my bad. I'm just going to the theater and watching it only because the fact that, like, Dwayne The Rock Johnson, he's a marvelous actor and probably one of my favorite wrestlers to date.
I think it'll be fun either way. As long as it's just going to be a bunch of animals smashing up buildings and probably The Rock running around with a dirty shirt or something,
Probably.
making his rock face, and that's fine too. That's always fun. There's a lot worse that could you could do for movie watching. Infinity War's almost here.
I'm glad for that.
They pushed that. I think it's funny that they pushed the release date up because of that tweet. But I think that's great.
Yeah,
There's a lot to live up to. This has been years, like over 10 years coming,
yeah.
this whole thing. So it's finally coming to some kind of culmination here. And I think fans are looking forward to it. And I'm confident that, Marvel Studios has done a good job with it.
Mm-hmm.
Because they've done a good job with pretty much everything they've taken under their wing.
Right.
And I think it'll probably leave everybody with more questions than answering them, because there's a part 2. So
Oh, yeah.
we already know that going into it. So we're like, okay, who's gonna die? Probably somebody's gonna die, right?
Most likely.
Or look like they're dead, or whatever it is. You know how Marvel is.
Yeah.
And then it's like, what's going to happen with Thanos? He's going to get all of the Infinity Stones. We can kind of assume that's going to happen. Whether that happens in this movie or not, I don't know. Maybe he gets like half of them in this one, and then the next one he gets the rest of them, and then it's this big thing. There's a lot of excitement for the characters pairing up together. Seeing the Guardians and the Avengers together.
Doctor Strange and everybody.
Getting everyone together. And I think the other question is like what effect this is going to have on the the Netflix Marvel universe, because those characters are not going to be in the movie as far as I know, or in any of the movies, to be honest. They won't have any involvement with it. And that makes sense because those characters, it's like sort of bigger than them.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually bigger than Spider-Man can handle, but Spider-Man's like Marvel super character, so he has to be there. You know what I mean? The Punisher, what's he gonna do? I'm gonna just shoot him? It's not gonna work. Daredevil's gonna beat him up? Not gonna happen. Maybe Luke Cage, Jessica Jones are kind of super powered humans, but they have their own niche in Netflix, so bringing them into it doesn't really, it doesn't really work. But it'll be interesting to see like what the repercussions are of what happens, what kind of world is left behind after Thanos shows up. So I'm interested to see like the more expanded Marvel universe, and they picked up Fox now, so they have Fantastic Four back, and I know that they're trying to do something with that. I don't know if they should.
The Fantastic Four, again, the Fantastic Four comics are probably amazing. I love them, but the movies are a whole different side. I didn't like the movies. They made a video game that was awful.
Fox did a bad job with it, and let's just be honest. If the the Marvel Studios take it and bring them into the Marvel Cinematic Universe, okay, they can, and they might do a good job with it, but I don't know if people really even want that at this point. I mean, there's a certain point where you're just over. It's over. Mm-hmm. We know you didn't do it, but please don't do it again. I kind of feel the same thing with the Spider-Man franchise. We saw a trailer for the Spectacular Spider-Man, which is Sony making their own another Spider-Man franchise for themselves outside of Tom Holland in the Marvel Universe. So now they're rebooting him again. So this will be the third time that they reboot the character. And maybe they're trying to do it because I know that they have a whole arc that they want to do with the Venom movie, and they want to do the Sinister Six, and they need Spider-Man they need a version of Spider-Man. They can't use Tom Holland's Spider-Man because he's part of the Marvel universe.
Yeah.
So they're like, okay, we'll make another version of our own, but it looks like another origin story, and I don't want to hear about Peter Parker getting bit by a spider and getting spider powers again.
I think they really made a lot of Spider-Man movies, and they had the list of actors, well, 3. And
I mean, there's a lot of places they could go differently with it. If they wanted to do
Yeah.
that, they could go like the ultimate Spider-Man route, and then bring in like, you know, different people who are Spider-Man instead
Yeah.
of Peter Parker and go that route if they want to do that way. That would work out. Also, I understand that they're doing it because they don't want to lose the licensing agreement that they have for Spider-Man. So if they don't make a movie for him, or whatever, every 5 years or something, like, the rights revert back to Marvel, and then they can't have it and they can't do it anymore.
yeah.
So that might have something. That's why they did that last Fantastic Four movie. It was bad. They knew it was bad. They released it anyway because they didn't want the rights to go back. But then they would have sold it back to Marvel anyway.
Oh, well.
Who knows, man? It's convoluted.
Mm-hmm.
Storylines. I mean, there's a lot to choose from. There's a lot they can do with the characters. It's just, you know, it's hard. I think it's even tougher for the independent, like, characters that are outside of the MCU.
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of the comic books and what makes them great was like almost every issue of whatever you're reading, there's a crossover from somewhere else. There's a cameo of somebody else.
Yeah.
You know, Captain America is always working with Spider-Man. Spider-Man's always in the X-Men's comics. Wolverine's always doing anything, anywhere. And it's like when you have the ability to put all these characters into these different things, that's what makes it interesting. Because you can only tell so many stories with the same characters, you know?
Yeah.
The X-Men franchise is a perfect example of that.
Mm-hmm.
There's nowhere else left to go. We've seen it, you know? We've seen the Magneto, Charles Xavier thing going. We've seen it. We've done it. We've lived it. We've gone through it. We've gone back in time with it. We need them to team up with other people.
Exactly.
Which they might do now that Disney has taken over the rights to Fox, and those characters are back in the hands of Marvel. Who knows? They might still do that. I like that as soon as that happened, the Deadpool creators made sure that their trailer came out and he had like the little Woody hat on.
Oh yeah,
he was doing the little, Toy Story scene.
Yeah.
And it was kind of like, that they did that because Disney had just purchased, Fox, and they're like, oh, now we can do this stuff. So let's make sure everybody knows. A lot of good stuff coming out. Okay, guys, well, that's all the time we have for tonight. Thanks for watching the Pretendo podcast. This is Jason saying bye.
I'm Dean. Bye, guys.